Okay. Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar session tonight, organized by HUD Association on the topic of medical ethics and jurisprudence. So I'm Dr. Mujahid Amin, medical graduate from UC Science Malaysia, will be your moderator for tonight. Joining me are three prominent speakers that are very profound in the field that we're going to discuss tonight. So I think we don't have to waste any time. So let's introduce each and every one of the speaker tonight. So to start off, we have Datuk Dr. Khairi bin Yaakob, Chief Executive Officer of Malaysian Medical Council. Assalamualaikum, Datuk. How are you doing?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Doing okay, under control. In this COVID situation.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Datuk.
You're welcome. My pleasure too.
Okay, now moving on to our second speaker, we have Dr. Mark Tian Kiat Min. Dr. Mark is a lecturer at the Department of Medical Ethics and Law at University Technology Mara, and also a coordinator of clinical ethics and consultation service at Hospital University Technology Mara. Good evening, Dr. Mark.
Hi, good evening, Mujahid.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Dr. Mark. It's a pleasure to have you here with us tonight.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine.
Okay. So our last panelist for tonight is Dr. Ahmad Khairi Faizi Rosli. Dr. Faizi is a Director of Legal and Ethics Division of Malaysian Medical Council. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Faizi. How are you?
Hello. I'm very good, thank you. My boss is
Thank you for joining us tonight.
To be very good.
Okay. Maybe you can show to your boss maybe what you have learned throughout your years. That will be very great. Okay, so before we start, the one thing I would like to say that all viewers are encouraged to ask any burning questions to the speakers here. And then the question will be asked at the end of our session. So ask anything that you want to know about this field, and maybe we can learn a lot from tonight. And this could be one of the future the pathway that we're going to take later on. So I think without further ado, so let's start off with the first question. Okay, so my first question is to Dato' Khairi. So one thing that I would like to ask, most of us would like to know, what is the job scope of doctors being in medical ethics as well as jurisprudence? What do doctors in this field do? And one more thing that I would like to know, can Dato' share with us your pathway in becoming a doctor in this field as well? So the floor is yours, Dato'.
Yeah, I can speak for 1 hour. You better stop me.
Okay, sure.
Okay, when you talk about job, okay, I like to dissect the elements of any question. Job is an opportunity, actually. All right, it is not something that you can really choose. Sometimes you wish to be something, but you end up as something else. All right, but in my situation, I have somewhat always wanted to become, I would say, an administrator in the medical health. I started off with the PITS, right, in neonate in KL. But after trying, I knew that it is not my field. And I took public health, and public health put me in the medical administration field. Then I found that law and administration cannot be separated. So in the job experience does actually dictate your what shall I say, your pathway. In my situation, I was in of course, the MNHO. Then later on, I joined the HQ under the Food Quality Act, which enforces the Food Act and and regulations. And then after that, I was the secretariat of the MMC. So mind you, I was there 20 years ago. This is my second tour of duty. And over there is about professional law, i.e. the medical acts and all other related acts related to the medical practice. Yeah. Related here, I can expand further. For example, like a doctor can also be be unethical, and yet it can be reckless. So it can be criminal. It can be even be sued. So that will be. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, Dato.
My phone. Yeah, it start playing.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm back. And then after that, I was in the HIV, so the HIV unit, which means that it is the Infectious Disease Act, the famous law now, 342, all right, Act 342. Then after that, I was the Amalan boss, meaning to say the chief enforcer, when the private healthcare facilities law, where all hospitals, clinics have to be licensed. Okay, and then I end up as a pengarah negeri, where I oversee all other health laws, including the pharmaceutical and the rest, yeah, poison egg and the rest. So yes, I've chosen that path, and law has helped me all along the way. And whether maybe I'll jump the gun right now. Okay, whether it is a career or is it an opportunity? Okay, I would say both. All right, because there is no what shall I say, a post for LLB honors in KKM. All right, I did. My pathway actually was paved by my public health specialist degree. The legal side helps me a lot, and it gives me the recognition. I think so, and it is my problem to deal with problems when enforcing the law. All right, so I would say in a nutshell that among the scope, I just quickly, maybe other speakers, I'll give a chance to elaborate all other things. For example, so I mentioned about regulatory, but in your medical school, you have jurisprudence. Okay, jurisprudence is about the evolution of laws, how it goes about. So you understand how human behavior, and then later on, it zoomed to these so-called special people called physicians. All right, and how the law controls them and how the society wants them to be behaving. And then of course, under regulatory, we have also enforcement. Regulatory can also involve making of laws. When I was in Amalan, we promulgate new laws. And laws, just at this moment, I need to introduce, is simply, to put it simply, is actually to modify behavior, real behavior, not anticipated behavior, real behavior that's been going on. All right, and then dealing with, of course, other things that help me as an administrator, for example, like grievances, complaint, and whatnot, because you can give them a better option. All right, so I stop now, and I would like to hear the opinion from the rest of the speakers, from the panelists. Over to you, Mujahid.
Thank you so much, Dato, for the explanation just now. So our next question, I'll be asking Dr. Mark. For example, if I want to join in this field, do I need to take certain postgraduate qualification in order for me to work as one? And if I want to pursue my studies in this field, which university do I go? Should I choose for local or abroad? And how should I prepare myself before I join into this field? So yes, please answer, Dr. Mark. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mujahid. Yeah, so I think those are very important questions. And following on from what Dr. Khairy has mentioned, currently there's no exact specific sort of career pathway in this field, right? And so most of us would look at it as an opportunity. Now, at the outset, I think the other thing to mention here is that actually the field of medical ethics and the field of medical law are actually two different subjects. However, they both complement each other, and in a country like Malaysia, where these two fields are still at its infancy, we tend to lump it together because they're kind of similar, but really they're very different, right? So then that's where you get your ethics and medical jurisprudence, or medical ethics and law sort of thing becoming one, and we sort of dibble dabble in both sides of things. So how do you actually get into this field? Would really depend on what the opportunity is. So if you're going to be working in Bahagian Amalan Perubatan where Dato' Khairi was, or MMC, and you're working more with medical law, then you would probably focus more on that area. If you're talking about ethics, which is more what I do, then you would want to look at that sort of that part of things. Now, most programs which offer this, right, will be either offered by a faculty of law, or B, a faculty of medicine. So depending again on which part you're leaning towards, that's one of the important things that you want to look at when you are researching for where to study this. I'll give you an example. So in UiTM, where I work, we run a Masters of Medical Ethics and Medical Jurisprudence. That's a master's program, and it's offered by the Faculty of Medicine. And so the course structure would be about 50-50, 50% ethics, 50% law. Now, an alternative program would be one that's run by the law school in Taylor's University, and that would be an LLM, right? A Masters of Laws and Letter in Healthcare Law. So that would be law heavy, and there's 1 or 2 modules on ethics in there. So that's one of the considerations that you might want to think about when you want to pursue this. Yeah, and of course, at the end, it depends on what you want to do with, or what are the opportunities that are going to be opened to you when you finish, this course of study that you have chosen. To your third, the last question on how do you prepare, I think as with all jobs and opportunities, one of the things that I think is essential is to actually have an interest in it, and to have passion in what you are doing. Because, well, of course, there's a very famous quote to say that you should do some your job is going to take up a major part of your life, so you should do something that you love. And so while I know that I've fielded a lot of inquiries where some people come and they say, oh, when I ask why do you want to do this, they say because I want a regular Monday to Friday 8 to 5 job rather than being an MO on call or something like that. Well, I tell them that actually, in fact, do you know, I'm actually working longer hours than when I was doing a full-time clinical job. And secondly, I'm actually trying to do something with clinical ethics, which is what I do, where there's an ethicist on call. So if you are interested in this, and your reason is 8 to 5 Monday to Friday, then it's probably not the reason why you should come into this. So I think that the reason why is because you're interested, you're passionate about it, and that you want to see some change. Okay, so one of the reasons why I got into it was because I realized, based on what I learned in medical school about ethics, that when I came out to practice in the real world, there were a lot of things that were still lacking. And I come from a family of teachers, so eventually that sort of thing sunk down into me, and I said, look, now if I want to do this, where do I start, right? So let's go back to university, start with the students, and then you would shape the medical practice of future practitioners, rather than focusing on those who have already graduated. So to me, that was my mission. That was why I came into this. And so when you prepare, you should have some some idea about what you want to do and be passionate about it. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I have one more question to ask. Doctor, can you share with us your pathway into this field? I mean to say what
Right.
what further degree did you took to be where you are now?
Okay, sure. Yeah. So well, I trained in medicine, did my housemanship, and then got sent to Selangor to do my MO. And then I took a year off. I got a cuti belajar to go to do my master's in ethics and law in the UK. And then I came back. Now, when I came back, I was sent to actually bahagian amalan perubatan, believe it or not. But at that time, Datuk Khairi was no longer there. And you know, you asked what do people do. So I was tasked to actually menggubal undang-undang. I was sent to cawangan penggubalan akta, where we actually, you know, draft healthcare-related laws. Unfortunately for me, my interest was in ethics, and so I transferred over to UiTM to teach. Subsequent to that, you know, I've realized that communication is really important. And so I've gone through the Bar Council mediation course to add value to what I'm doing. So to get accredited as a mediator, and I'm working towards you know, getting certified as a healthcare ethics consultant. And there's a certification course for that. Yeah. So really, it's about creating opportunities where you see it.
Thank you, Doctor, for the explanation just now. Okay, now we move on to Dr. Faizi. So, Doctor, this question is more towards your personal experience of being a doctor in this field. Can you share with us what inspired you to further your career in this field, and what are the challenges that you face in this field, and what is the satisfaction that you have working in this field? What kind of emotion are you involved in? What kind of scenario are you involved? Maybe you can share with us that kind of details and be very interesting for us to know. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Mujahid. I think this question is very relevant for me. I think Datuk CEO my boss, Datuk Khairi, would agree. What kind of emotions do I experience throughout my my job when I was doing my job? Okay, basically, I think when it comes to what has been inspiring me to do this, I think it is quite interesting in a way that I always knew that I wanted to be a doctor lawyer right from the beginning. Like I remember when I was in standard 6, people asked me, what do you want to be? And I said I wanted to be a doctor lawyer, whatever that meant at that time, you know? Because I think part of me, I wanted to be a doctor, and at the same time, I wanted to be a lawyer. And that's how it began. And then after that, I finished my medical school in Edinburgh University. I did my housemanship in Hospital Kuala Lumpur. And then after that, I was sent to bahagian amalan perubatan, but not in bahagian cawangan penggubalan akta, but I was in medical legal department. Okay, actually I requested to go there because at that time, you know, I was thinking of whether I should proceed with medical law or not. And then I was in medical legal department for I think about 2 to 3 years. That was when I actually did a medical law course with Edinburgh University, which I graduated from in medicine and surgery earlier. But after that, after 2 to 3 years in medical legal department, I was thinking, okay, I wanted to go back to clinical to see how much I miss clinical side of my work. So I went back to neurosurgery where I was floating before that. So I was in neurosurgery for a couple of years. I think around 5 to 6 years in neurosurgery. And when I was in neurosurgery, that was when I enrolled in jurisprudence. equivalent to LLB in UM. Okay, and I started there. And I went in the middle of the course, I decided that probably clinical. I like clinical. I like neurosurgery, but I think I prefer to proceed with medical law. Okay, that is when I decided to proceed with medical law. Although at first it was a very difficult decision because I started doing my registrar call and everything, and then I went to basically then I moved to MMC. I moved to MMC and I worked in legal and ethics division. Whilst finishing my study I had another 1 or 2 years in UM at that time. And when Datuk Khairi came along, on his first day, when I introduced myself to him at the parking lot, I don't know whether he remembered. That was when he told me he has LLB, and I had no idea at that time. Before that, I was just, nervous that my new boss is coming today. I had no idea about his background until he told me. And at that time, I was hungry. I was hungry for someone to look up to, like in this field, because I thought at that time I was taking a pathway never taken before. It was like a risk that I took, I thought, okay? So, and when I spoke to him, it was such a relief. Then I saw somebody to look forward to, and that is, so my pathway was not really a peculiar one after all. It has been taken by someone else before, and that really inspired me in a way and makes me more confident to go ahead, right? And then I finished my study in UM, and then after that I continue in my Masters of Medical Ethics in Oxford. So so basically the entire story, the from the initial ambition, and then you went through clinical, you went through jobs in medical legal department, and I was in medical. And then I came to MMC. The entire pathway, and then I met Datuk Khairi. The entire pathway really helped to inspire my journey at the moment, and there's no regret so far, I would say. All right. When it comes to challenges, your next question was challenges to in relation to this field. Me personally, I do miss clinical work sometimes because I enjoyed clinical work as well, and I didn't come to this field because I was trying to avoid clinical work. I came and chose this field because I love this field, not because I was trying to avoid anything else. I miss clinical actions. That is one challenge that you may face from time to time. And I'm talking about my job in particular as the director of legal and ethics division in MMC. I'm dealing with unhappy people most of the time, because the public come to us to complain, and of course when they complain they're not happy. So after that I have to liaise with a doctor who has been complained against, and these doctors are definitely not happy too. So sometimes you absorb all this unhappiness vibe that people have around you, and like what Dr. Mark said, you think it's an 8 to 5 job, but you do bring this mood back home. You do bring these papers back home, so it's not really an 8 to 5 job. And another challenge is the fact that you're walking into the path that is not very common to a lot of people. So a lot of explanation needs to be done. And in my case, I had to explain to a lot of, my family members, especially my parents. I have to reason to them why I'm choosing this pathway. So it was a big of a challenge at the beginning. But the satisfaction, I think, is indescribable because I end up doing what I like to do. Like I said, there's no regrets at all. And I'm totally enjoying the field, and it is very satisfying. So I think that the satisfaction comes from the fact that you are doing what you like to do. So I hope I answer all your question, Mujahid.
Thank you, Doctor. I have one more question, Doctor, to ask you. Can you tell us what is the most a thing that you remember the most, a case that you are involved with in this field that makes you I don't know, feel happy, sad, or what kind of cases have you dealt with in this field?
Oh, all right. I cannot remember the exact case. I mean, I cannot at the top of my head at the moment. I cannot mention any particular case that made me happy, but I can tell you one recent case that I think gives some sort of satisfaction when I got back home. Do you know, we were dealing with a doctor who is going through a problem with drug abuse. Okay, and then he's been causing problems at work, and then he's been it seems like he's not safe at his practice. Okay, and then we never basically, because we are implementing this regulation 2017 and our new act. Okay, so a lot of things are still new when it comes to our procedure. So when I received this kind of concern about how safe the doctor is, okay, from people, the first thing that you want to do is to help the doctor. You know, probably he needs rehabilitation and things like that, and at the same time you want to save the public. You know, you want to make sure the public is safe. So I was and we are actually having all these limitations during this MCO to proceed with hearing, to proceed with all those, you know, investigations. So I went through the Medical Act and Regulation, trying to look for what I could do to help the entire situation. And then I came across this one clause called interim order that we could do. So I managed to get my team together, discuss with our legal advisors, Datuk CEO, of course, and then we managed to form a very immediate hearing, okay, based on the current act, allowed by the current act. And then we managed to get a quick interim order to basically, stop this doctor from, temporarily, this doctor from practicing, in order for him to get help, and in order for us to can continue with the proper investigation in the future, and in order to save the public at the same time. So when I came back home after that particular meeting and hearing, I felt very good, because I think I did something to help both parties. So this is the kind of satisfaction that comes from the cases that you deal with every single day. Yeah.
Thank you
That's
so
all,
much,
Mujahid.
Doctor. Yes, I do feel that doctors indeed save life as well, as much as doctors in hospital as well. Okay, now I have another question. I want to ask this question to Dato' Khairi. Dato', throughout this discussion just now, we have heard a lot of element being mentioned, specifically medical law and medical ethics. But I'm not clearly sure how do we differentiate these two. For example, if I want to work specifically in medical law, what kind of thing would I be involved in? And if, let's say, I want to work in medical ethics area, what kind of things would I be involved in? Could the Dato' tell us how can we tell the difference between these two?
Okay. This is my opinion, right? If you wants to understand the working of medical laws, you have to you have to see the problems related to all the medical legal, or the laws of the land. That means that you have to go to the formal education of becoming a doctor, a lawyer. All right. In my situation, when I joined UITM, I was also a UITM, Dr. Mark, as a student then, mahasiswa, then distance learning. I thought I knew everything. I was a doctor, quite a senior doctor who joins the law faculty, Okay, although I passed my general degree, but I wanted to do the honors course, meaning to say I have to work with the mahasiswa and mahasiswi. But I was a mahasiswa lah. Yeah. So the thinking is different. All right. Once you are exposed to work, it doesn't matter because my classmates are also, some of them are pilots, some are surveyors, some of them are police, and all that. So when they join it, everybody has their reason to do. The aim to join, so that their understanding of law, implementation of law is as, meaning to say you can argue with a lawyer. Let's put it that way. And it is quite a challenging course. All right. To me, that is a professional degree, LLB honors, for example, right? The jurisprudence and the medical ethics, that is to me, I would say that is at the academic part, which is also very important, especially if you are a doctor. All right. But in my situation, I chose to be an administrator, health administrator in Ministry of Health. So I must know the laws, related laws. Because in a medical school, okay, we are taught in a moot court and all these things. We battle it out in our moot court, and we find, real cases, but we have to fight as if it is a reenacted case. In my situation, I remembered I had a guy who's already been convicted, all right, to do a very heinous crime. But I used my medical knowledge, and I won the case. Because I start using all my medical jargon, just like lawyers using their legal jargon. So I put a big gap in their mouth on my opponent's side. We are students, though. It's a moot practice. So in my case, I have saved him from the gallows. But in the real thing, he has been executed. So that is how the training in the law school is very important. All right. But of course, in the law school, we also learn jurisprudence, ethics, and whatnot, but not as heavy as the two other speakers lah. All right. But enough to help us in promulgating the law, in explaining the law to the public, especially to your bosses. Actually, when you are in this so-called rarefied area, not many people are interested, especially your boss. So you can actually advise them, him or her. He may not take it, but at least he will give you some. He will give you the respect. At least some thoughts will be considered by him or her. This is very important, right? Because law, as I said, is a real thing. And to make things interesting, when I was in Food Act, there are many aspects of the law that the bosses are scared, or rather the people before me has not tested it. For example, roadblock. Last time when our veggies has been, what shall I say, rejected by Singapore, there's a lot of hoo-ha between Singapore and Malaysia. And I was kind of, reprimanded by my boss. What have you done with Cameron Highland veggie? What have you done to stop this nonsense? Okay, I say, I will do one more which they have not tested. I'll do roadblocks. So I done everything with the police, with the JPJ and whatnot. And I say, I've already tested. There won't be any jam or whatnot. So I go back to my boss. I say, Madam, this is my paper. Okay, you have criticized me for not doing my job. Now you sign, tomorrow I'll do my roadblock. I put. Oh no, then she got panic already. So it is interesting in the sense that there are many aspects of the law that has not been tested, and you can change that. And if you are successful in doing that, you are saving a lot of life. Yeah, not just patients. For example, like pesticide. I discovered many things. Sometimes the veggies that has been grown for export is two different things from what they eat. They plant separately, and for certain market, they want the price to be high. For example, they have a cocktail of that, which is terrible. So, and not just that, I'm just quoting you one of the, the Food Act, but in the 342, the Prevention of Diseases Act and whatnot. Actually, before your MCO, I've done it in one in Johor. We surround it with using Rela and whatnot, because if I'm not mistaken, you were uh, some infectious disease, probably I don't know, some pertussis or something like that. That small group of people. So to stop it, I use this. And then one more thing, if you know the law under 342, for example, if it is emergency, you can spend a lot of money, and get things right, which you don't get the normal budget. For example, like when MOA hit 700 API, for example, and they declared one day. During one day, I spent, I think, a few $100,000 to buy masks, because I know the law and I know the administration. Okay, once you know the law, your general orders and whatnot, it comes easy, because the basic principle of fairness, equity is all there. All right. I'm just quoting you some of the interesting points. When you change, you are able to change something, you get the satisfaction, a full satisfaction that money cannot buy. Okay, I think I stop at this, but probably you can hear from the rest.
Thank you, Dato, for the sharing. It's very inspiring stories to listen to, Dato. Thank you so much. Okay, now I have another question. Dr. Mark, looking into the future in this field, do we have enough doctors in this field, and does Malaysia needs a lot of doctors in this field? Let's say we are facing issues of doctors not being able, issue of contract doctors is a lot now. Most of the doctors, they want to do something different. I don't know, maybe try it out, something rare. Do this field offers enough to doctors, and are we growing in this field now? And what will happen to this medical ethics jurisprudence, or even medical law itself in Malaysia, for example, in 10 years' time? Can you share with us?
Gosh, right. Okay. Thanks, Mujahid. To the question of whether we have enough people now, it would really depend on what we are trying to do. Of course, from my point of view, I'm a bit biased. Okay. So in terms of KKM, there are positions in the headquarters in Putrajaya, and places like MMC, which is a stat body now. And in fact, from my understanding, most hospitals are now setting up medical legal units as the amount of complaints go up. So for example, in the Klang Valley, almost all the major hospitals in the Klang Valley have a medical legal unit, which is staffed by a couple of MOs, one or two MOs. Of course, this is something new in the past few years and will be increasing. Yeah. Some of the states have someone, but they don't have them in the big hospitals yet. So I think that in the future there will be expansion, but then again, this depends on KKM's policy. On another side, in terms of teaching, right? So in terms of teaching, we have we've got loads of medical schools in Malaysia. As far as I'm aware, where I work, UiTM, we are the only medical school at the moment with a dedicated department for ethics and law. So again, as we move forward, I'm quite sure that most of the medical schools will be emphasizing on this subject. It's just a natural progression of things. Some may move faster than others, but eventually there will be place for some more to come to fill up the gaps of teaching medical students. Yeah, and in the various other fields where people apply medical law and ethics too, I am sure that they are also growing, right? So, but then again, it's not a set pathway. It's not a set thing like, you go and do your MMed, 4 years, come out, you become an internal medicine physician, right? So this is the tricky part about a career in this field. Now, what was the other question again?
What would this career offer to our
Yeah.
doctors?
So again, because the field is so varied. Now I think there's also a question on Facebook about contract medical officers and whether you can further your career in this, right? So like what Dato has done and like what Dr. Faizi has done, they've actually taken some distance learning or courses, and if you're talking about law, it can be done in that manner. And in fact, there are a couple of universities, UiTM, and so on, who actually do offer these courses. Some of them are full-time, but they're on the weekends. Some of them have night classes. So however, if you're talking about waiting with KKM to get your 3 years SKT, apply for a cuti belajar bergaji penuh with hadiah latihan persekutuan, then unfortunately there are very limited spaces for this field. So most of us who have done it because we believe in something, and we've done it outside of that, and then used what we have learned to help the current system. Did I answer all your questions, or was there another part?
I think yes, I think you answered all of the questions. But Doctor, I have one more question to ask, Doctor.
Sure.
Do this field offers doctors to work in private sector as well? For example, I'm not sure. In other area, for example, they work in a certain company that deals with selling medicine. Do this kind of job lead to that pathway, or will that eventually lead to that pathway?
Yeah. So again, it's about opportunity, isn't it? So I mean, how many places will the private sector have, right? So, but there are doctors out there. I know of someone who is the head of, she's a doctor with a law degree, and she's a medical advisor, and she's the chief of Columbia Asia group. So, in the whole Columbia Asia group of hospitals, there is someone there who has both medicine and law. I know of some doctors who also have a law degree who work with insurance companies, but it's not that they're going to be 100 places for people to work with every company. So it's about opportunity. Yeah. And one more thing, you asked about the future and how has it grown. And I think that, with the COVID-19 pandemic, this field of ethics and also law has actually been given a lot of prominence. If you look back, of course, in Malaysia, the most prominent thing that happened is our MCOs and all, and these are taken under your Prevention of Infectious Disease Act, right? So again, it's medical law, and like Dato says, if you have knowledge of it, then you know what you can do, right? In terms of ethics as well, I mean, if you read about articles about COVID happening elsewhere, there were instances where supply was not enough, compared to demand, and doctors had to pick which patients they had to admit to ICU. We had to think about not having enough PPE. I mean, thankfully that didn't happen in Malaysia, but elsewhere in the world it did happen, and there is a possibility of that happening, and that is where ethicists would come in to assist. So there is definitely room for expansion, and in fact, prior to coming online, we were talking to Dato about we established something called the Malaysian Bioethics Community last year in response to the COVID-19 pandemic here. And so again, we suddenly found so many people who were interested in this. So there is definitely room for growth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mark, for the explanation just now. So I really like the word that Dr. Mark mentioned. It's all about opportunities that we need to grab, and now is all about that. We need to take certain risks and opportunities in order to further our career. Now, moving on to the second half of the session, we'll be proceeding with the Q&A session from the audience. I'm sure there are a lot of questions they are wanting to ask, and I'll ask the questions to either one of the doctors here. So, okay, now this is the question from Intan Safura. In most cases of complaints against doctors, generally, will the outcome in favors of the doctors or the patients? I guess I want Dr. Faizi to give his answer in regards to this.
Yeah, this is actually a good question. In most cases of complaints against doctors, generally were the outcomes in favor of the doctors or the patients. Honestly, we don't keep count on whether the outcomes are in favor of the doctors or the patients. But I can tell you, based on my experience handling all these cases for the past 3 years, um, it's pretty much it's a fair judgment. There's no particular parties would be in favor in terms of the outcomes, in terms of statistic of the outcomes. I don't think there is any parties superseding another parties in terms of the general outcomes of the cases. It totally depends on the merits and the facts of the cases. Probably Dato' Khairy wants to add on to that as well.
Okay. Intan Safura is my niece. I mean, anyway, I'll answer for the rest of the viewers. As what rightly said by Dr. Faizi, all right, it depends on the merits of the case, all right, and the facts of the case too. You may have the merits, but you may not have the facts. These are things, So there's the irony about justice sometimes. Gut feeling says that somebody is right, but you cannot come out with evidence, because medicine and also in law, anything that you want to propose, you have to back it up with evidence, and there are various levels of evidence. This is where sometimes the layperson might lose out. Okay, so even in the MMC situation, what more in the court? All right, so I hate to say this, but over the years, sometimes I observe one thing that is not pleasant. That is, sometimes justice is what money can buy. That is why all best lawyers are being grabbed if they have the money. I mean, this is just a general statement. I may be 100% wrong, but this is the situation, all right? But the argument is evidence, evidence, evidence. Okay, to all the viewers, which I presume that are doctors, your evidence will speak years after that. Write it down. Write it down. Don't depend on tape. Don't depend on Facebook. Don't depend on recording of a webinar. Nothing will hold. You have to understand the value of admissibility of evidence, of proof or evidence. These are some of the basic principles, which I think now, as what Mark rightly said, most medical schools are now, imparting this knowledge to their students. MMC, once upon a time, last time, we do go to all the schools to give talks, okay, on invitation of the schools. But nowadays we don't quite receive, this invitation. Probably more so in the COVID thing now, because basic principle of law is still basic principle of law. All right. What more in the future? You don't have to talk about the future. In fact, the near future, for example, like Facebook now, lands doctors in trouble. Right? You start using words that is so undoctorly, can I use the word? Or unprofessionally, equivalent to lay person or even worse, the other person will just sue you. You know, it happens. I'm sure you know. Doctors have been sued in their Facebook. For example, like, you know, cases of Dawla, for example. You're so passionate about your job, sometimes you forget that there are boundaries of laws. Now take about the present situation. In future, medical ethics and law is always relevant because of the ever changing diseases, ever changing management of medical world and whatnot. For example, Mark has just said about his group with regards to COVID. There are many things, ethical things. This emergency vaccination, is it ethical? I mean, you can argue it out, Why can't it go to the normal processes? Why must it be made early? And then, should it be made compulsory? That's a paper by Fauzi. Should it be made by compulsory, or is it an option? If it is an option, do you give a card to those who have been vaccinated? Are you discriminating those without the card? I mean, it goes on and on and on. So it is here to stay for the future. And now back to Intan's question, simple question. It depends on the merits of the case. It depends on the situation. But you should know the evolution of things, for example, like the Facebooks, or even your WhatsApp group. All you need, one of your group members just leak it out and it becomes viral. And you land yourself in trouble. You have to come to MMC, and if you're a government officer, the government will not cover you. You may come from Sabah. You use your own money. If there are three flights, you use your own money. The KKM will not give you the money to be, for our hearing, for example. So these are the situation of things, right? So that is why slowly now MMC is now putting in many safeguards. For example, like your APC, before you get your APC, you have to fortify yourself, at least not by knowledge, by CPD. All right. I will try to speak to the CPD guys, the committee, maybe to put the medical law and ethics also as part of, something, for example, like this one. It should be a CPD point, but I was told it wasn't. So I hope organizer next time, you can apply, you can apply to the MMC, to the MMA to get for CPD points, because it is important. It helps you with your job. All right. So I can go on and on, but probably others can contribute.
I think Dr. Mujahid, I just want to add on one thing. When Dr. Khairi mentioned about the merits and the facts of the case, the doctors have to also understand everything. The documentation is very, very important. Although the hearings in MMC court, for instance, we are working based on Bolam principle, where we are assessing all these medical negligence medical malpractice through medical judgment, standard of care based on the peer assessment. So basically, our juries or our judges are actually our fellow doctors. But we have to understand, even though we know that you probably have done it or have not done that particular procedure, but if you have not documented that, okay, it doesn't mean anything. So documentation is very important. So when it comes to the merits and the facts of the case, both parties may be at advantage or disadvantage depending on what is lacking and then what is being provided as well in the case. Yeah, that's all I want to add. Is Mujahid being disconnected?
We've got a very interesting situation where the moderator got disconnected.
Hello, I'm very sorry, doctors. When the moderator is cut off the line, that's trouble. Okay, now moving on the next question by Muhammad Alif bin Tajuddin. Do contract medical officers have chance to further our career in this field? Dr. Mark, maybe want to answer?
Yeah, so I think I sort of alluded to that just now. That being a contract MO, that is to do with your perjawatan. That has to do with your job, right? And so if you're going to talk about whether I'm going to get CBBP, Belajar, HLP, and things like that, then that is, I can't answer that, and I don't think Dato or I don't think Dr. Faizi can answer that as well, because that would be government policy or KKM policy. But if you're talking about a chance to further your career in this field, without looking at that, right? Then yes, you can do things part time. You can do things, on weekends, and loads of people who are in this field have done it that way. And there are courses which are available. And I mean, if anyone wants to contact, I'd be happy to give you some ideas about some courses which you could avail to. Yeah. Would any of the other speakers want to add something, or we'll move on to the next question? Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next question from Vincent T. Dear panelists, medical legal seems to be an interesting pathway. Do you mind enlightening us who are interested on what your daily working life would be? Secondly, what are your views on the recent vaccination research methodology carried by Pfizer and Moderna in terms of their research ethics? Any of the panel would like to comment on this?
I would like to comment on the first one. Do you mind, what was the question again? Do you mind enlightening us who are interested on what your daily working life would be? Oh, so they are the interested ones. Okay, so do you mind enlightening us who are interested on what your daily working life would be? I think this is very variable. I mean, all of us, the panelists, we have different roles in our organizations. Okay, for myself, as the director of Ethics and Legal Division of MMC, I'm dealing with my working life revolves around receiving complaints from the public, and then we will be processing these complaints and then bringing it up to the next committee in the hierarchy of the disciplinary hearings under MMC. So we will be organizing the hearings in relation to the complaints, and then after that we will be liaising with the lawyers, with the complainants, with the doctors, and then the hospitals after the results are out, and then we are also dealing with the guidelines produced by MMC in relation to so many parts of medicine, like the consent guideline, confidentiality guidelines, code of professional conduct, good medical practice, and so on. But I'm sure our daily working lives are different from one to another, but that is pretty much what I can enlighten you for mine. Yeah. Mark, Dato'?
Would you like to?
Part,
the second part, I think, Mark, that is your bread and butter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would answer the first. Yeah. So one thing that I find enjoyable about my work is that technically almost every day is different. What would be a typical thing? There's no typical working day lah. Okay, let's put it that way. But in a week, I would probably be conducting some classes with my students, either a big class lecture to everyone, or meeting them in groups for their group projects. In the past, this week as well, I had some bedside teachings with them. So teaching them how to take consent, teaching them how to communicate well with patients. I've given lectures this week to in fact this afternoon I was invited back to my alma mater to give a talk. So that is done. There's also research work to be done. So conducting interviews for a qualitative research on ethics. There's also public engagement and another very interesting thing that just landed in our place is that UiTM is starting its new own hospital in Puncak Alam. So there's a lot of paperwork to be done in terms of setting policies in place, especially ensuring that the policies are ethical and that they are in accordance with the law that is set in place. So there are meetings and there is paperwork to go through to do that, and in terms of even setting up a new service called a clinical ethics service. So so there's no typical daily routine, but all in all those sort of things fit into so teaching, research, meetings, management stuff, policy making, public engagement. It's all mixed in. Now, as to the second, being aware that there is an MMC guideline on doctors and giving opinions, I will have to confess that research ethics per se is not my forte. I am focused more on clinical ethics rather than onto the specifics of research. So I wouldn't be able to really comment much on the Pfizer and Moderna studies at this point in time. However, I'd be happy to chat offline if anyone wants to.
Yeah.
Okay, our next question is from Muhammad Hosni. Besides MPS, are there any other institution or societies in Malaysia providing legal advices or services to doctors? I mean, doctors who want to know about this kind of services or advices, where do the place that they can go to?
Okay, probably I'll try this. MPS, okay, this is a society, Malaysian Protection Society. Okay, one of the services, I would say services or if you sign up as a member, this is not an insurance, this is a membership thing, right? So they offer this to members. But there are insurance company that also offer if you are in trouble. Okay. In fact, now with the MMC's condition for APC is the indemnity, protection, professional indemnity. Most companies they have their what shall I say, their legal advisors, but usually when they know that they are potentially going to come up with their money, then they will advise you what to do. But not in getting some knowledge that what we're having right now. They won't just give not that I know of that they among themselves, unless you join the Malaysian what shall I say, legal society. All right. There is a society called the Medical Legal Society of Malaysia. All right. I'm a live member to it. It's good that for young people to join it, and there you have lawyers and doctors, or lawyers, doctors who happens to read law. They're not lawyers, but happens to read law, and lawyers who are lawyers. Because lawyers, they cannot become doctors. That's the special part about we, indulging into in this field. Because the Legal Profession Act or the LPA, the moment you sign up as become a lawyer, for example, if I sign up as a lawyer, I cannot practice as a doctor. Okay, the Legal Professional Act will only allow you only one gainful profession, whereas in medical world, not that I'm practicing, but it will not stop me from pursuing my and involve in discussion, as long as people do not take my advice as a legal advice. And you have to declare your interest that I'm not a licensed lawyer, but I happen to read law, and this is my work experience. You know, so this is important. So if you ask me, am I going to be a lawyer? Why should I? I enjoy being an advisor. I enjoy this extra scope in life. That when you read books, I love to read books. One thing about law, there is one definition of law that says law is language. Okay, so there are many definitions of what is law. All right, law is language. So it is the language, the art of language, the art of communication, the art of and you have to, your scope of reading will be bigger, wider. You know, so it'll be very interesting when you read cases, for example, the legal cases right now in the newspaper, in the journals and whatnot, and you have more enriched life, I would say. Okay, this is my reflection.
Maybe I can just add a little bit here as well to this question. So, like what Datuk mentioned, the MPS is a membership service, and as part of that, one of the benefits is, of course, the ability to contact a medical legal advisor and ask them questions. So I presume that this question is asking about providing legal services or advice on medical legal issues, and not just any legal advice. Because if you need things like a divorce or whatever, then you just go and see a lawyer lah. Okay. But yeah, so with pertaining to medical legal advisors, I would presume that most indemnity companies, if you are subscribed to them, would provide that service. But I don't think that there is any independent service besides going to see a lawyer to get this sort of medical legal advice out there, if you're not a member or you're not subscribed to any indemnity. Yeah, with MLSM, it's a great society. I'm also a live member, and I'm actually currently the treasurer. It's a great meeting of doctors and lawyers, and we run mainly educational programs to educate people about these sorts of things. But we generally would not take individual queries regarding a specific thing. And most of the time it would be, please seek out your medical legal advisor or medical legal lawyer. Now, MMA have a ethics committee. So if you have issues, then that's another avenue with regards to ethics stuff, right? So MMA have an ethics committee. If you write into them, they will take that up, and they will channel you towards the correct place. So if it's an issue MMC, they will then direct you to MMC. If it's a KKM thing, they will direct you to KKM, and so on. And then yeah, I think those are the ethics services that are available, and the legal
I was about to say, my division receives questions and inquiries on a regular basis as well, especially in relation to medical ethics and law. So I think, well, if you guys have any inquiries about that, we are contactable to give you any sort of advices as well. Whatever, especially in relation to ethics and law. Among doctors, yeah.
Oh, and one more place I think is, for example, if you have issues with, say, Act 586, which is about private healthcare facilities, then in KKM there is a special unit called CCAPS, and they would take questions on that. So again, it's a matter of knowing where to channel your legal questions to. Yep. Okay. I think there's something. Is Mujahid frozen?
I think you can proceed, Mark.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So the next question is towards me, right? So So does UiTM only offer a full time, or do you have a PJJ over the weekend? So again, if it's the Masters in Medical Ethics and Medical Jurisprudence course that you're alluding to, then that is a full time course. That would require you to commit a significant amount of time. It's a 3-semester program, so 1.5 years, full time. However, if you're talking about the LLB or the Bachelor of Legal Studies course that is run by the law faculty, which is something similar to what Dato told, then I don't have the exact information offhand, but I do believe that they have some PJJ programs. Yeah. So again, it depends if you're doing a Bachelor's of Law or whether you're talking about the Masters in Ethics and Law.
I'm really sorry for being disconnecting for many times. So moving on to the next question by Wan Fatin Nabila. Ideally, should all hospital or at least each PKD have one medical legal specialist or officer?
I think I would start the ball rolling for this question. For me personally, I think yes, it is very ideal for all hospitals or at least each PKD to have one medical legal specialist officer or a team. Basically, I think based on my previous experience handling medical legal cases, when we go to all these hospitals, trying to investigate, to assess the level of negligence, when all the teams of lawyers or the teams of external inquiries come over, what we expect is for everything, the chronology of the cases, the parties involved in the case are already being chosen, being prepared by the hospital or the PKD. Okay, we only have a limited time to investigate such cases. So if this chronology, if these PhDs, if these relevant documentations, if these relevant parties are already being on standby, it helps us to expedite the process of investigating the cases. Okay, because I remember encountering a hospital where when we came over, they expect the inquiry panels, the lawyers to be doing everything. Okay, there's no parties involved. They ask us to choose which parties to be called upon. They ask us to come up with our own chronology. I think this is the role of the medical legal team of that particular hospital to be actually preparing us for that. And then that is not an a quick job to be done. It has to be prepared much in advance. I think that is one of the many roles that I think a medical legal team should uphold in the process. So I really think that hospitals or at least PKD to have this medical legal team to be assisting us, because medical legal cases are mushrooming at the moment. I mean, medical legal complaints are mushrooming at the moment, and then if we don't have a proper team to be handling that, then the hospital, we cannot expect the clerks to be doing that, the record office to be doing that alone by themselves. You see, there must be some sort of guidance from all these experts. Yeah.
May I take from there? It is not just confined to hospital or PKD alone. It should be in all health system, private or public, because the present mentality, we are getting very litigious, yes and no. All right, but in the West now, and what we should be promoting now is not a battlefield of legal battle. We should be going for the alternative, alternative resolution, that we should be educating our public, our doctors, and also now the Patient Safety Council of Malaysia, under the MOH. We are now even contemplating to look into, like some countries, the Apologies Act. If you say sorry, it doesn't mean that you are admitting liability, for example, and it's protected by law. And also where we can mediate, this is where we need more people to become mediators. Not really going to be a lawyer, or a medical ethicist. One more field which I think that the listeners can consider is this ADR, or alternative dispute resolution. Okay, when I was in Singapore, I managed to join just for a short course with them. The Singapore SMC, okay, the Singapore Mediation Center. In Singapore, it's different because it is the legal system that all medical legal cases must go to mediation. In Malaysia, I don't know, they are dragging out their time, and there are things that if we have at all levels, even in the ministry, then the policymakers can also now, include in the laws that mediation should come first before you can complain to, all the either tribunals or bring it to the courts, for example. So this is a way forward.
Yeah. So I think I agree with that as well. I mean, at the end of the day, it's also about communication, isn't it? Because when you have an aggrieved party, I mean, litigation should be the last thing on their minds. So being a mediator, that's another thing to consider. And hopefully in the future, if this sort of thing is implemented, then there will be demand for mediators as well. Now, whether and it like what Dato said, it's not just only hospitals, but and not just government hospitals, right? So if you're in a private hospital and you want to conform to what we call the MSQH standard, or if people want to go higher up to a JCI standard for accreditation, those policies actually do require a hospital to have an ethics committee, medical legal grievance mechanism in place, and so there's a lot of potential that people can venture into. Oh, okay.
Okay. We have a last question. Kudos to our panelists and as well me, despite disconnecting a lot of time. So just out of curious, more challenging, reading medicine or LLB? I mean, this is a challenge to lawyers and doctors. They want to know which one is harder, which one is tougher. Maybe the doctors who are reading law can answer this question.
That's me, right? When I first joined, I thought I was a smart guy. I'm a doctor, and the first contract question was, A sells something to B, discuss in 10 minutes. I just put the very fact about loss of contract, and that's it. I failed my first question, my first exam. That's not how lawyers think. I thought I'm a doctor, all right? I thought I'm smart. I thought I can answer because doctors had been thought to be safe. At best, doctors are told to see 3 dimensions. Lawyers, they have the 4th dimension. It's a loaded question, but for those who are interested, I can elaborate more. So when I look at the answers later on, when they go through, there's so many angles that you can talk about, from A sells B something. Yes, this is a contract, but there are many other things that you can discuss about. So that is how the difference between that first exam or test, that first test, taught me a lot of things, how to think like a lawyer. All right. And there are many things that also not just think, but you can even win an argument, for example. All right. For example, your procedure is wrong. Suddenly you bring them to a new field, for example. These are all taught in the law schools. So this is apple and orange. It's up to you to taste both. But you now being doctor, you have the opportunity to learn the other one. But the other one cannot become a doctor. The LLB cannot, because minimum requirement of a medicine now is, is difficult for them unless they fulfill the minimum requirement. I know of engineers, becoming doctors, but I've not seen a lawyer becoming doctors yet in the private medical school yet. Probably I'm wrong. Maybe one day we'll see one. But for those listeners who are doctors now, go for the LLB if you're interested.
Yeah.
I probably want to add on to that. One last one. Okay. I think I have a
Sure.
graphic memory. So when I studied medicine, it works well for me. It worked well for me, because you remember the picture, the illustrations, the anatomy, and that's how you relate it to all your answers. But when it comes to studying law, reading law, it's all words. There's no graphic. There's no pictures. So I had trouble at first trying to memorize things because they're all words. You can't differentiate. The books are so thick. I don't want to. I can show you the books at the back of my head here, but my room is messy, so I wouldn't bore you with that. But the books are thick, so you have to differentiate. So what I do is I use all these sort of colors. So I make my own graphic and illustration out of the words just to help me memorize it. So I think that was my challenge at first, but I think like what Dato said, you learn from the first few struggles that you had, and after that you catch up. You just catch on. Yeah, I think. It's all nice. The experience is different. It's bittersweet for both, and then I don't think there is anyone that is more challenging than the other. If you can do medicine, you can do everything.
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything to add.
That's a really nice phrase to put, Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We doctors can do everything. That's true actually. Maybe I wanna take law as well in the future. So okay, thank you. This is a message from the Heart Association. Thank you for joining us tonight. Really appreciate if our viewers can leave your feedback here and help us to improve. Okay, so do give us your feedback in the link below and how we can improve on the session. And then one thing to say, do stay tuned in the Facebook page. There'll be more updates in regards to the next webinar session that we are going to have later on. So I think with that, we have come to an end. I would like to say thank you so much to Datuk Khairi, Dr. Mark, Dr. Faizi for being here tonight with us, explaining, sharing their experience, telling us everything. I appreciate it so much. And I'm really sorry for disconnecting a few times. I'm not sure. We live in the era of technology, and technology is making us having a headache right now. So thank you everyone for watching us tonight. If you have any question, do leave in the comment section below or PM the Facebook page. Maybe we can assist you in that. And maybe you can follow Dr. Mark, Dr. Faizi, Dr. Khairi in their social media account, or you can ask them question directly after this. So thank you so much everyone for joining. So with that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And hopefully everyone have a good rest and a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.